Welcome to the big show. We are so glad you are here. We're going to talk today about goals for 2026. What Christian and I have learned over the years that almost guarantee that we hit our goals. It's a system, it's a mindset and a process. And we have a great conversation about it that I think you'll find very, very insightful. And much, much more coming up on this edition of Service Drive Revolution. Well, the good news is Christian is here because I almost had to do this by myself.
I'm here to save the day.
Barely. If he sounds a little under the weather, it's because he had full-on bronchitis.
Don't forget the sinus infection.
The thing about bronchitis that you're experiencing, because I've had it, is once they give you the antibiotics, that's when you start coughing and it starts coming up.
Clears everything out.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It's hard.
But you were really sick.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen you that sick.
I not as like when.
Also, what's funny is Christian pretends like he's not contagious, so he's walking around here on Monday, like, "Oh no, I've been sick for a week. I have to be getting over it."
I also try to convince myself I'm not sick. I do that too. And then I also, for whatever reason, I consider it a punishment that I have to work from home. Like, there's so many weird things that I do.
I do the same thing. I hate being sick.
Yeah.
I consider being sick like a weakness mentally.
Well, I know I did something to get myself sick in the first place, right? So, like a weak punishment for doing something dumb.
Yeah.
That should learn me.
I agree with that. Bad news. Would you say bad news? How would you say this?
A shock.
Devastating?
Devastating.
Crazy?
All of that. Unexpected.
Man, it ruined my weekend.
It was a hard text.
Yeah. So Tim Kintz passed away. And if you're not familiar with Tim Kintz, he's somebody that we've partnered with in the past that does sales training. And he's just one of those like really good guys that like teaches how to sell the right way. Like, you know, Texas, good guy. I don't know.
Dripping with charisma. Like you want to be around him, all that stuff. I was always so impressed with Tim.
I met Tim for the first time when he worked for Joe Verdi. So he was one of his trainers for a long time. And then he went out on his own. And we shared a lot of mutual clients, but you know, I spent a lot of time with him over the years. Not recently though, which it's so weird that I had this like feeling to call him a couple times, and then I didn't, and he passes away.
Yeah, let that be a lesson, right?
Yeah. Life is short. I think he was 57. I don't know.
Yeah, but if you think you need to call somebody, call him.
He's around my age.
Yeah.
I'm a little younger.
Super close to home is what that whole thing is.
Yeah.
Age. We kind of, we occupy a similar space, and there was just all of it kind of came rushing at me. That was a tough hit, and I just pray for his family and all that they, I'm sure that's a huge shock to them as well.
Yeah, condolences and lots of prayers for Tim. Very sad. Very, final. Nuts. He's got kids. Just, when that sort of stuff happens, like what goes through your head?
I need to prepare. Like the first thing I thought was, I got to make sure that if that happens to me, like, what's the plan? Like, how do we get Claudia what she needs? How do we get Raylan what he needs? Like, the first thing I think about is preparedness and like, is everything done? Made me think about wills and like all that stuff. And then the other thing that like, so you had a pretty introspective weekend too then. So I did too. I thought it was just me, but like the leaving things undone, like all that goes through your head when someone, that you identify as similar to you is like, it should go through your head to remind you about life being short.
Yeah.
But I go right into preparation mode is what I would say. How about you?
I had that little scare earlier in the year.
I don't know a lot about it, but
So they thought I had cancer. And all the signs were that I had it, but then I ended up not having it, which is funny. But for probably 3 months, I was going through that. Like, okay, well, if I'm gonna go, well, what's the plan? That sort of thing. And it's interesting how your only choice in those situations is to resolve yourself to it. Because otherwise you just go crazy. Like if you worry about it, like there's the things that you can control and then there's the things that you can't. And then when it comes to your health, it gets so confusing because you get so many different opinions. Like a doctor here in the US tells you something completely different than a doctor in Europe. The doctors here just want to do surgery. The doctors there kind of want to treat the person. Our medical system is kind of nuts in that way, where all the good doctors are like booked out and like really busy. Yeah, it's just you have to let go. Like it's the only way.
not the strongest strength for you, by the way.
I might be better at that than you think.
And maybe don't make sure I'm saying in the right context. Like when you attach something, like my thought is like you would be the one that would be like, okay, so what are my treatment options? What do I do here? How do I make sure that I've done my best part? Like almost obsessive in terms of like when you're chasing something, like that's a thing. But
I did that. I triaged everything, and
Okay.
I would say good connections and good doctors and access, right?
Yeah.
But it's still there's just still a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
And you get conflicting. Like I'll tell you one thing you shouldn't do if you have any sort of diagnosis is ask AI anything.
AI can barely get anything right.
Well, I don't know about that, but like you put like, you're so anxious that you have like any sort of MRI and then they give you like the kind of stats and then you start putting that into AI and asking it what it thinks. And then it presents the worst case scenario every time.
Oh, well, that's how WebMD used to be.
Yeah. So don't do that.
No, that's a terrible process. Did you, I mean, since you brought it up and I never asked you about it, did you just start to feel weird? Like, how did it start?
The funniest thing in that scenario when you think you might have something terminal is when you're sitting in a meeting or you're having a conversation about stuff that just doesn't matter. Talking to people about like, just do your job. Like, what are we talking about? Like going around in circles about something that you're like, not only will I not remember this a week from now, I'm certainly not going to remember it a year from now. Like just what matters changes very quick.
Yeah.
Who matters, the relationships you have, the friendships, that sort of stuff is front and center. Like the waste. Like I've always like kind of understood that the reason why Steve Jobs is who he is and the reason why David Geffen is who he is both of them were misdiagnosed with cancer at a young age and they got another chance. And it was like a reinvention because when you think you've lost everything and then you haven't, your priorities kind of shift.
Yeah, I would guess the world gets a little more colored, right?
Gets a little more colored and you have a little less patience for stuff that doesn't matter.
Time waste because you now you have a different understanding of time.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Although I think that the going around in circles, even if you're not thinking in that way, which we all probably should, is super infuriating.
It is interesting to listen to people talk when most of what is said, especially when it comes to conversations where people have really no idea what they're talking about, like just take politics for example, and people are just wanting you to agree with them just because, and they really are talking about the symptom, not the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something we talk about a lot, right? Is like there's the symptoms. Like you could treat the bronchitis, but the real thing is to figure out how did I get it and not get it again.
Bingo.
Right? And so in life, like a lot of people are living in the symptoms. And that's an outcome of a need for belonging. It's an outcome of the way our media is, all of that. But
we can control it.
the amount of cowardice in this world too is pretty insane.
Oh. So did that become more apparent?
Yeah, because like you're thinking, right? Like you're thinking, okay, what if I only have a year? Or what if I only have 2 years? Like all these things go through your head. Or I mean, what if I only have 5 years? Like if I have 5 years, like I'm basically Tim Kintz's age about, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about your mortality in that way, your priorities change, right? Like if you think that you're going to pass away in a couple years, the way you see work, the way you see life, the way you see learning, relationships, everything is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what people are doing most of the time is waiting for permission. Like most people are walking around, like the whole self-help industry is basically giving people permission,
Yep.
right? Like, and the more you pay these gurus or whatever it is, the more permission they give you to do the thing that you should be doing anyways.
Yeah. And they don't tell you could do it on your own.
No, but there is a tremendous amount of cowardice in that.
I agree with that. Because if you pay for it and get permission externally, then it's not your responsibility, right? If it goes wrong or whatever, like, yeah, I completely get what you're saying.
Yeah, like if you say you're going to do a certain thing, like let's say you accept a job to do a certain thing, but then you don't do that thing, or you tell a friend you're going to do a certain thing and you don't do that thing, it's cowardice. And also like a lot of people just worry too much to the point where they get paralyzed about what other people are going to think. Like they're worried about what other people are going to think to the degree that they do nothing.
Yeah.
Other people's opinions, when there's so many variables to that equation. Like you want the opinion of people that matter, of people that are accomplished. But usually the people that are accomplished or matter don't just give their opinion. You have to ask for it. The people that just give their opinion, usually it's worth about what it cost you to get it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Like people commenting online or,
I think that's pretty close to home, because I think that from a pretty young age, I've always looked for like that acceptance or, like kind of to be a little bit of a people pleaser. And that's been a transition throughout. I'm still working on it, but from a really young age, I wanted to be the entertainer and like the liked one and everything like that. And the older I get, the more I realize that was a really lot of energy put into something that has no bearing on my life. Like you said, the right thing to do would be to like, what if you worried about the circles that you're gathering, and how could you give to the circle and get out of the circle, and like all that stuff is way more important than just the being liked thing. It's a crazy powerful thing. And I think that the power, it's different in different people, but I can relate to that part, and glad I don't feel like a slave to it as much as I probably did when I was in my early 20s, 30s, stuff like that.
Yeah. You know who I think about in relation to this conversation is Norm Macdonald.
Oh.
Because he had cancer for a long time and never told any, like his closest friends didn't know. And like if you think about that last appearance he did on David Letterman, where he cried, you have to imagine that part of that release of emotion was the finality of the Letterman show and being there, but also the finality of life. It's kind of crazy. What's his name is doing a documentary on Norm. What's his name?
I don't know, but that's going to be great.
He did the Avett Brothers documentary, but he does 40-Year-Old Virgin and all those. He's like a producer for that. The comedian.
What is it? A Judd?
Yeah, he's doing one on Norm, and it's gonna come out next year. And he said it's really just Norm, like it's just footage of Norm. But he was talking about in this interview I saw about that moment on Letterman and how he sees it different because Dave didn't know. Dave was kind of caught off guard that he was so emotional.
Because he never is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Norm's a good example of that, I think. And I think he lived his life in a way that's admirable. And I don't know that you need to keep things secret.
He just didn't want pity.
Yeah. Well, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I didn't want pity. Like, I don't want people to treat me different because...
I still would have told you dirty jokes.
I don't know that would ever. Hopefully, that never stops. Yeah, but long way around the cul-de-sac to say life is short and we're gonna miss Tim.
Yeah,
rough, very rough. The other thing that is interesting is when I got back from Thanksgiving that Monday, I went to the gym that I go to. So I hadn't been there for like a week because I was out of town, and all the parking spots were taken. And I go in there, and I'm at the gym at 5 something, right?
Yeah, which you would not expect a lot of traffic.
No, most people start coming into the gym like around 7. I'm gone. So for there to be anybody there is rare, but for it to be packed and packed with people that I'd never seen before. And I was kind of like, what is going on? Like, is there an event? Like, am I missing something? Is there an event or something? And then I realized.
Coming up.
What is it?
The new year.
Yeah. What do you call them? The part-time warriors? Like, so they'll be at the gym, but by the middle of January, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of them, like all new faces.
Never done this before. Yeah.
The gym I work out in isn't really a public gym. It's a trainer's gym. So you have to have a trainer to be there, which is funny too. Like there aren't a lot of people that work out there without a trainer. I mean, you kind of can, but for the most part, it's a private gym. And nowhere to park.
Oof. If your gym looked like that, imagine what Gold's gym looked like.
Yeah, or Equinox or any of them,
geez.
right? Or Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
So funny. So I always, think that sort of thing is a little insight into human behavior and goals. And so I think we should talk about that because 2026 is right around the corner. It's the time for you to kind of reflect on this year personally, and then think about what your goals are for next year. And Christian and I have some thoughts on that, and maybe some things that have worked for us over time. And I would say like the part that sets all this up and the difference between like the people that show up to the gym but are gone by January 15th, probably still pay for the gym the whole year, but they don't show up.
Oh, I bet you're right.
Because the percentage of people that pay for a gym membership versus how many show up is insane.
Well, that's part of that business model is inertial response.
Yeah.
Because if everybody came all the time, they wouldn't have enough machines.
No, it's the same thing with Disneyland annual passes. is like they sell a couple million of those, but they couldn't handle a couple million people at a time.
No. You know who was the original starter of that whole thing?
Who?
Columbia Music. Remember way back in the day?
Yeah.
Where what you had to do is like you got the thing out of the magazine where you sign up and you got 10 cassettes when I was doing it, 10 cassettes for a penny or a dollar or whatever it is. And then if you didn't send in their postcard every month, they send you another one every month for like $14.99. So you'd end up with like 10 cassettes that you wanted. And then every month, if you didn't opt out, you get the stuff like, you know, Barbara Mandrell when I'm listening to Pearl Jam, like that kind of stuff. But they were the original like executor of inertial response. But Jim's really picked that up and ran with it. It's such a fascinating thing. You know where I learned that? In college, I have a marketing degree.
Oh, that's great. No, it's a very profitable business model.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember from college.
Yeah, gyms can be very profitable, but you're not planning on people using their membership.
No, they'd be in big trouble.
They don't, and you make it as hard as you can for them to cancel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just do it online. You have to go into a place and cancel it. Yeah, all on purpose.
And so the part about New Year's resolutions and how many people actually use their gym membership or fulfill their goals comes down to the difference between intentionality and novelty. Right?
Oh,
so
great.
There's the novelty of it, which novelty is new, and we like to have new ideas. Like everybody loves to have a new idea. In fact, we many times here I have instituted a no new ideas policy.
We just got to do the stuff we're doing.
Yeah, we just got to execute on the basics. Like no new ideas. And that doesn't mean that we're not looking to innovate, but what it means is like people naturally are attracted to new and novel things. And in our industry, especially, like how many people had a CRM and nobody used it, or how many people had digital inspections and they made your sales go down and they didn't work. And like, we love the new thing. We love software. We love tech. We love AI. We love all this stuff. But at the end of the day, the real money is made in the blocking and tackling. And you don't need a new way to do something. You need the ability to execute on something that's boring and consistent.
Turns out that still works really well.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about it all the time because people say, oh, well, you guys don't like digital inspections, or you don't like video inspections, or, whatever it is. And that's never what we say. What we say is if you can't do it with paper, you can't do it with software, because it's garbage in, garbage out. Like if you're not disciplined enough to have a tech stand under a car with a clipboard and a piece of paper, you're certainly not going to get all of them to get out a phone and make a video.
And actually it'd be good.
Yeah. Like it's just, you sometimes just got to walk before you can run. And a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to buy the thing that allows us to run, but nobody ever runs. Software goes unused. I mean, it's just part of who we are as humans is we love new and we love novel. So when it comes to thinking about your goals for 2026, is it novel and new? Are you doing it because you think you should do it? Or are you doing it because you're intentional and this is really something you're committed to? Because intentionality requires a level of commitment that means like, no matter what happens, I'm going to do this. I'm going to burn my ships and I'm going to do this goal. Like I remember I had the goal to be a dealer by the time I was 35, and I was a dealer by the time I was 34. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but there was nothing that was stopping me from doing that thing, that goal, to the point that after that, I was afraid to make goals like that because I'm like, I can make stuff happen, but sometimes the stuff I make happen isn't good for me.
Wanted, right?
Because I got deal heat and I overlooked certain things that I shouldn't have overlooked because I had this goal. And I have a process for making goals where I write them down and I put them on my mirror in the morning and I look at them every day. It's funny, my significant other was telling me a couple of weeks ago, she goes, "Oh, I looked at our goals for last year and we pretty much hit them all." And I mean, that's usually the case. Like I usually hit them. There's a couple that I haven't hit, but they weren't like 1 year goals. They were like, a little more ambitious than that. But the intentionality and the like, this is something I have to do. And then the other part of that intentionality that I see a lot of guys do. I don't necessarily know that females do this as much as guys, but we don't get our partners buy-in. Like it's an individual goal, but it's not a team goal, but it requires a team to hit the goal.
Well, you two do an annual meeting.
Yeah, well, we talk about it quite a bit over a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think that's really good, the way that you do that. I remember you first told me that like 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, oh, that's brilliant.
I mean, how many guys do we know that come in here in the library and they're like, well, my wife this, my wife that. And then we're like, well, have you ever like asked her, like, what are we trying to do here as a couple? Like, what is it we're trying to accomplish? Okay, well, we want to buy a house or we want to save this much money. Okay, in order to do that, I'm going to have to work more. And all of a sudden you shift the honey, why are you gone all the time? I'm worried about you. You're stressed to how can I help you? Because it's in service of this mutual goal, not an individual goal.
Yeah.
And then we're less passive aggressive. There's less tension, that sort of thing.
I remember you told me a thing a long, long time ago is that in a healthy relationship, that person is always the soft place to land when you walk in the door. You remember when you told me that?
Oh, yeah. That's part of my...
Such great advice. It turns out that those people that come in here and they're usually complaining about their spouses and everything like that are the same people that can't get their advisors to do walkarounds. It's the same thing.
It is. It's all connected.
It's all connected. Speaking of which, I was in a store a few weeks ago and I did an interview, hired a porter. Well, I didn't hire him, but I was doing the interview. I don't know. Somebody said that at the store said that I was good at interviewing. So I'm asking all the questions to this fellow, and it's like 19 years old or something like that. And then we get to the conversation part about salary. And I said, "What are your salary expectations?" And he says, "Well, I'd really like to make about $125,000 a year." And I look at him and I'm like, "Well, is that a requirement?" He's like, "Well, no, I can be flexible depending on the benefit package." So I said, "Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we give you 5 weeks of paid vacation, 14 PTO days for sick days. We'll do a 50-50 match on your 401k up to half of your salary. And then we'll also give you a complimentary Corvette to drive. And we'll just every 2 years, we'll just give you a new car. How's all that sound?" He says, "Wow, are you kidding?" And I said, "Yes, I am, but you started it."
Did that really happen?
No.
Oh. but my head kept going like, is it a joke? It's not a joke. Oh, it's not a joke. Oh, it is a joke.
I haven't done that to you for a while where you can't tell.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. It's great. Okay, so intentionality. The power of intentionality is when you talk about locus of control and controlling the things that you have the most leverage over, the most agency over, those come out of intentionality. So you will learn more. You will put yourself in situations where you have to stretch and push yourself when you are intentional about something, when you are committed to doing it no matter what, versus I'll try, right? Try is basically giving up. There's no try. It's doing it. And so that novelty versus intentionality, I think, is a big thing for most people. And then getting your significant other to have the same goals. If you're a team, then it should be a team goal. And then talking through like, What are the variables here?
Yeah, what adjustments do you have to make halfway through the year, whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? I think that's it. Is that the goals and the intention all come back to that. Is that it's the commitment to sacrifice, because it's just not free, and the loftier the goal, the more it costs at the end of the day.
Yeah, for
Now,
sure.
I do have kind of a theory about this that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking just about, like, let's just say business goals. Like if you're talking about dealership goals for 2026, is I have this belief that in a lot of cases, it's way harder to not hit the goals than it is to hit the goals.
Explain.
So I'll give you a really, really good example of this. Okay. So it's the same thing as the service advisor who writes up a car in the morning and follows their complete plan. They stay in really good communication with the customer. They follow the repair order through the process. They build a really nice quote. They call the customer before the customer expects it. They get approvals really quickly. They get the work done through the shop. The car gets done at the end of the day. It's a $2,100 ticket. Customer comes up, sets an appointment with me to pick up the car. And then I've got it parked out here, nice and cleaned up, ready to go. Paperwork's all perfect. And they just come in. The customer has like this frictionless way to do that, right? So when you do it like that, it's not very hard, right? But it's rarely done, because usually what happens, the customer drops off the car, it goes into an abyss. We write 15 other cars, don't pay attention to the first car that we wrote. That customer then, like at 3:00, calls us and says, what's going on? We get them on the phone. We have no idea what's going on. And then we have to do this. And we just, instead of doing like this nice, smooth step 1 through 10, we run around like a chicken with our head cut off, which then is stress. Like, I hate getting yelled at from customers and stuff like that. Like, that's awful to me. That's purgatory. And you sell a tenth of what you would sell. Like, it's just that if you don't follow that, like your path to the goal, you're going to get half of the results with twice the work. Did I explain that okay?
Yeah, it's great.
So that's why I believe that when you set a goal and then you don't hit it, you're making it way harder on yourself, right? The gym is a really good example. I always think that, like, if you commit to doing the gym, the byproducts of not going to the gym are way worse, right? So when you're not eating right and you're not going and exercising, you're not burning calories, you're gaining more weight, you're putting stress on your heart, like that Tim thing, like, just made me think about health, and your sleep is terrible, your relationships are terrible, you have no energy for the important stuff. But when you do the workout and the thing you committed to every day, all that stuff gets way easier.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you a hack though for me, and I've talked about this before, but I think in the perspective of doing your goals, this will help a lot of people and it makes sense. Is like, so if I wanted to get in shape and work out, for me, it wouldn't be enough. Like, I wouldn't wake up every morning and go to the gym on my own. There would be days like this morning, I woke up and it's really cold and I'm tired and I don't feel like going to the gym. But I went to the gym because I'm paying a trainer that is there, that is counting on me being there, right? And I feel weird canceling. And if I cancel, I got to pay. So I feel like I'm irresponsible with money. If I'm like, I'm building a system to get me to do the thing. It isn't enough, right? Like right now I'm thinking about my goals for next year, and I'm thinking of a person that I'm going to hire to coach me, right? But like, you know this, like I hire people to coach me all the time. I'm always finding people that are doing the thing that I want to do. And we, you know, as a company, we're very progressive in getting outside opinions and people to help us. But I'm thinking like, when, you know, I'm going to invest in hitting my goals. I'm not going to leave it to my own devices, because there's a thing that happens, I think, with a lot of people is like, you want to go from the person you are now to a place where you're making more money, or you're doing better, you have more assets than you have now. It's really hard to navigate that on your own. the best way to do that is to find somebody who's done that, or find somebody who's helped other people do that and hire them. It saves you a ton of time and mistakes and heartache, but it almost guarantees your outcome in a way.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see it with our clients all the time, right? Is like they get trained, they find where the leverage is, they have accountability, they have help. Like there's a bunch of things that keep them on track that without us being there as their coach, they would revert back to their old ways and they would be getting the same outcomes or the same results.
Yep. They wouldn't send the daily tracking. They wouldn't be engaging with their team, all that stuff.
And that's not an indictment. We all operate that way. So I'm very intentional in building a system that it's hard for me to weasel out of. Like once I've hired somebody, I kind of got to do the thing, right? Like there's many times I've hired somebody and I don't feel like doing the thing, or I don't want to go to a meeting, but because I'm paying for it, I go, right? There was an event in November that it wasn't super convenient for me to go, but I'm paying. And then I learned so much at that event and I was so glad that I went.
You were jazzed up when you came back.
But if it was free and I wasn't vested in it, I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah. Another thing with your trainer, I think that just because your natural connection abilities, I think it's not just that you're paying him. I think it's also that he's your friend and you don't want to let him down. Like all that stuff, you definitely build like 5 or 6 trick bags to put yourself in.
Intentionally. I'm intentionally putting myself in a situation where I'm learning, I have accountability and an expectation that forces me. Now, people from the outside would look at me, or they do all the time, and they think, oh, it's easy for you because I make it look easy, but it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work. And I'm constantly tricking myself into the thing that I ultimately want, because I know, given my own, just my own devices, I probably would make too many mistakes and then give up on the thing, or just I would figure out something else to do that would distract me.
Yeah, that's great. I think one of the things I see as a parallel too between what you're talking about and the way that you're willing to invest in people to help you out is probably, I think, my favorite thing about our coaching program is not like the X's and O's that we do. I think that system's awesome, but I've never yet found a replacement for the value of the outside perspective.
Yeah, the fresh set of eyes. I mean, it's so funny how many times I've been in a situation where I ask an expert to look at something and they go, oh, like,
and you stare at the damn thing for like weeks and then they see it in 7 seconds.
Man, I'm trying to think of what this was the other day. I had one that I was just like, holy cow, that is so funny. I would have never guessed that in 100 years. I don't know. If I remember, I'll tell everybody, but it was one like that where I was just like, oh man, it's so obvious too. But that happens all the time. Like the fresh set of eyes, like we have that piece of artwork that's like, you can't read the label of the jar you're in, but it's just so true. It's so true.
More today than ever.
Yeah, I try to remind myself of that. So the thing that I would advise for everybody to do is reflect on 2025, do an inventory of what you think went well and what didn't, where you had opportunities that you didn't, attack them or leverage them in some way. And then think about what you want to do in 2026. I would also contend that there's a lot of disruption going on. Like we're busier than ever, and there's a lot of room for us to grow as a company because fixed ops is, more important than ever before, just with the way the industry is going. And so if you're in fixed ops, having some lofty goals and really going for it is going to protect you in the long run. So I would not be the sort of person right now that's sitting around waiting to see what happens. I would be at the forefront of whatever is possible and capable, what you're capable of, versus leaving things to chance, because there is going to be a disruption. And I'm seeing it in other industries all over the place, that people that thought they were safe, engineers, salespeople, like
Rodeo clowns.
I can't even like I was in a room watching a presentation, and I was convinced by the end of it that most salespeople are going to go away. And like with AI, I couldn't believe it. And so there's salespeople out there that are just doing the minimum that they have to do to sell. And I just guarantee that those salespeople are going to be eliminated. The salespeople that have a network, that know how to market, that have relationships with people, could never be replaced by AI. And so the level that we need to be performing at, like if your department isn't profitable and you don't have a great customer experience and you think that that's going to get you through, I'm just here to, as a friend, tell you that you are very, very vulnerable in what is coming. Like if you know how to build a team and you know how to leverage the customer experience into profitability, and you can maintain systems and, you know, build feedback loops, pricing strategy. Like if you really know what you're doing and you've done it over and over and over again to the point where you could execute it in many different areas on many different planes and levels, you're going to be okay. But the people that are just sitting around waiting to see what happens, it's not going to be good. That was Christian shaking his head. If you're listening to this, so I would encourage you to set some goals, find a coach, find a mentor. You know, we also have been talking about internally doing some sort of ongoing live coaching, like once a week, where, you know, managers and directors that the dealership won't invest in, you could invest in yourself and learn the stuff that you don't know, and be in a community of other people that are performing at a high level. And so,
and just trying to get better. That's
all ships rise.
Everybody gets better in that community.
Wouldn't you say to that point that part of the culture in our company stems from the fact that I'm always learning and getting better and hiring people to coach me?
Yeah, you're the example.
Yeah.
So,
and you see that it works.
I do. Sometimes I'm waiting for permission, like when, because I get caught up in the math of it. But I see you do it all the time, and I'm like, well, I don't know if we want to spend that much on that or what.
And then I just do it.
And then you just do it, and then it works. I'm like,
yeah, I was really disappointed this last thing that we did, that I wanted everybody. And that's a funny thing too, because we run into that with dealers, where dealers, they're losing money and they put it to their team like, hey, do you want to do this Chris Collins thing? And I'm always kind of torn with that, because I tried it on us and it was too much money. Nobody wanted to spend it. And then I was going to do it either way. I was just hoping that everybody would buy in, and it didn't happen because of the money.
Sort of because of the money, right? But for the thing that we're talking about, it was that you had to spend the money because I didn't get the part that I was supposed to get done.
But I've tried to say over and over again that that's not the right way to look at it.
Well, yeah, because it's limiting. Like, yeah, in hindsight, I get it. But in the moment, that's what happened.
Yeah. And so I spent, what is it, $80,000?
It was $80,000.
And
right.
Now that we've experienced it together, it's a no-brainer.
Well, and it's also and
we're talking about a training program that we did for ourselves internally.
and what it
We hired somebody to train
Yep.
us.
And the byproduct of it is from that training is now like there's certain things like onboarding, like in my sales team, is way more streamlined than it's ever been before. It's because of that system, because now I've got a thing to teach and practice and role play and go back through, and then we tweak it, and then we test. And then if it works, we keep it. If it doesn't work, we try something else. But it's way more systematic, which is how we think. It's been a really good experience to see what it was like for you to jump in the pool and for me not to be so cerebral about it on the next go around.
Yeah. And also the other thing that you brought up is the fresh set of eyes. Because there were some things in that training where I'm like, I don't think that, but let's try it. Like, I don't know. Like, we've tried it before and it didn't work, but who knows if that wasn't timing or the way we did it or whatever, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
But that's been a really good, is a very big eye open. That was one of my 2025 takeaways, if you will, was that
like my mind automatically goes to how can I find somebody to teach me this thing? How can I find somebody to get me unstuck?
right on.
There's a lot. There's like 300 million people or something in this country. And more in China.
I think it's like 350 million now.
Wow.
It's gone up.
Well, make some goals. 2026, make some goals. And if we can be a part of those goals, we would love to help. But write them down. I'd put them on your mirror and look at them every day. I know people say to write them down every day.
Like Rocky does.
But intentionality, burn your ships, commit to it. 2026 is going to be exciting. I'm really eager to experience what is coming. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you, and we'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.